What's going on? Today I want to answer some common questions that you guys have been asking in the comment section, or you've been emailing me like, hey, what should I do for this or this or this? And so we're here to answer these questions. We're here at work. Ian's just finishing up in his notes and whatnot, and we're just hanging out. So we wanted to answer some of these questions. Hopefully they help you with whatever you're wanting help with. Question number 1, let's get started. Okay, let's see. Does it matter whether you go to a private, public, or community college? Will it have an effect on getting hired? What do you think?
I think no, it shouldn't matter.
I don't think that it matters what college you attend. I think what's more important is your reputation, the character of who you are, your past experience, and what your references have to say about you. That I feel like is more key and more important when getting hired based on what school you go to. At least in my interview, my employer didn't even ask where I went to school and whatnot. He asked how my clinicals go, and he got references from my clinicals. And for Ian, same thing. When we hired him, I don't think it really, we looked at his background. We said, okay, he's a massage therapist for this many years, he's a PTA for this many years, and we talked to his previous CI, so that was like the important things. What do you think is going to happen with this field post-pandemic?
I think there will be some changes, but I think overall, the care that we give is going to be the same.
Yeah, like a needed service?
Much needed service.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still going to be elective surgeries. We see a lot of orthopedic patients with knee replacements, shoulder replacements.
Yeah, you can get stroke recovery, vertigo. We see a wide variety of different patients and diagnoses, so I think we will be needed because people still need care, because we're essential, baby. Yeah. Do you have the time to live? Next question is it okay if you transfer credits, or should you take all of your credits at the college that you plan on attending the PTA program at? Personally, I don't think it really matters, but when you apply to some competitive programs, they will provide more points, or you have a better chance of getting into that program if you attend all of your classes at that college instead of transferring some over. So if you're applying to one of those colleges, then yes, it matters, and if you're not, then I don't think it really matters that much.
Right. With me, I took all of my classes at one college, and I would say the biggest factor of that is the content of the classes and how they pertain to the program.
Mm-hmm. I think sometimes for some people they want to transfer because it's either like cheaper or because it's more conveniently located, like the college or something, or they want to do online for their gen eds, which your gen eds don't really mean a whole lot once you get into the PTA program. So I think that's totally okay if you want to save some money or go that route. And if you want to take all your classes at the same college, then that's cool too. How hard is the PTA program? That's the next question. To Ian, it was a breeze. This kid skated through the PTA program, and then for me, I actually had to work at it because some of us don't have the luxury of being super duper smart like some of us. What, do you think it was hard? Do you think it was easy? What do you think?
I think some classes were easier than others, based off of my background with understanding the body. It was a little easier for me, whereas some of the other students struggled with those classes where they succeeded in classes that I was a little...
What was the toughest class you had? What do you think?
Cardiopulmonary and neuro for sure. Neuro and cardiopulmonary were
I still don't know anything about neuro. What was one of your easier classes then?
I would say acute long-term care.
I actually didn't do too good in that class.
See? Exactly.
Did you get to use the wheelchairs in your program?
Oh, yeah.
That was my favorite.
Using the wheelchairs.
We went down to the gym and got to ball up with them in the wheelchair. That was hard.
They closed the gym off when I was doing it. But
why?
I think they had like a staff meeting or something there. I think they had like some sort of conference or...
Lame.
I don't know. But we got to go outside. We got to experience what it's like to try to navigate through doorways, into bathrooms, up and down curbs.
Just tough.
And just understanding this really, the setback that people have.
Yeah, it's hard. It's a lot harder than I thought it would be. How often do you study? Like who needs to study when you're that smart?
No, I think studying definitely, and everybody has different study methods, but what worked for me is really writing things down, going over it, really understanding what the material is, and then learning the subgenres of that. Mm-hmm. But just writing it down and just pounding it into my brain really is what got me through.
You know, one thing that I realized going through the program is that it was on my mind constantly. So I still, hung out with my friends or family, or still was able to resemble somewhat of a normal social life. But the thing that was really challenging is hard to just turn your brain off from thinking about the upcoming tests that you have, or what you got to study for, or that you have your final exam coming up, or whatever it was. I always had that lingering in the back of my mind. So whenever we were just hanging out at Applebee's or something like that, I was still thinking okay, I got to know that for the test coming up, and I can never fully just relax and be in the moment. So that was kind of a struggle.
For me, the biggest struggle was not so much the writing part of the test, but the hands-on part, doing the comps.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Those are easier for me.
Well, I have a hard time in front of the camera.
Yeah, in front of the teacher, you mean?
Right. Well, we were recorded too.
For your comps, you were? Really?
For our final comps, for sure.
Why? Because they're starting a Facebook channel or a YouTube channel? Or
no, just so that if they feel like they missed something with grading, they can look back. Or if there's something that you wanted to review.
Whoa, we didn't have that luxury.
You can go back and actually look at your performance.
And now look at him. He's a natural on camera. What? The next question is, does the PTA program put a strain on your life, your relationships, family, friends, all that stuff? And I kind of touched on that in the last question, but how did it affect you? Because Ian's coming from a different place than I did. When I was in the program, I was a bachelor. I was rugged. I had a girlfriend at the time, but I didn't have a wife and kids and a family to feed and support and all that crazy stuff. So what was that like?
That was the biggest thing for me, honestly. Just being married, having 3 kids, and trying to fit in school life on top of family and friends. Unfortunately, I had to limit the time that I could spend with friends, just because, I was studying, I was focusing on what we're doing the next day, the next week, upcoming tests, things like that. Yeah. But I found a way to incorporate my family in with my studies. Just really seeing how they move, working with, there I go with the ums again, working with, you can edit that few seconds.
I can't edit any of this.
Yes, you can. Being able to incorporate my kids and my wife into my studies, whether it's me practicing in front of them. Yeah.
So it was kind of like a supportive, they kind of built you up through that, and you
for sure
integrated them through your process instead of completely shutting them out.
Correct.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that. So for me, one of the things that was really easy to do is when you don't have friends, it's easy to shut out your friends. One of the questions I keep getting in the comment section is, what are the gross things that you have to deal with as a PTA? Are there any gross things that you deal with here? It's different for us because we work in an outpatient setting, so typically we don't see as much gross things, but when I did my clinicals in the hospital, it was a different story.
Much different story. Much different story in inpatient. But I'm glad that there's people out there that
enjoy that
and take care of the patients with bodily fluids everywhere.
Yes, that's a big one. Like bodily fluids. Ugh.
Smells.
Oh yeah, I did not like the smells. Especially when we'd break for lunch and had to go to the cafeteria. I still just smelled the hospital everywhere, and it made me nauseous.
Right, but thank you, people doing inpatient therapy.
Yeah, that's on a. Do you find any gross stuff in outpatient?
Not as much for sure. Maybe visually with people with new surgeries, scars healing.
sweating profusely if you have to hold their gait belt or something and you're just holding onto a pool of sweat.
That's just me.
So Ian's constantly sweating, so it's not a big deal, but for me, it's a bigger deal.
A little shiny too.
Yeah, dude, it's warm in here today.
Yeah, you don't come across too many gross, quote unquote, gross things.
Just pawn it off on the nurses. Don't do that. Be nice. What is your favorite part about treating patients? Like, what just makes you, what warms your heart at the end of the day, Ian?
Just seeing the progress that's being made with each day. Each day, it's like a puzzle.
Tell me a time. Tell me a scenario. Tell me someone specific. You don't have to give any names or anything, but like.
Well, duh. When patients specifically request me, and knowing that they walk out of here with a smile on their face, knowing that I can reduce their pain, knowing that I can increase their range of motion, knowing that I can give them a better quality of life each day they come in.
Yeah. I thought you were about to say, I can lower their pain, I have the power to increase their pain. I thought that's what you were about to say.
No. What about you?
Well, my favorite part is leaving. I've told you that before.
Yeah. 5 o'clock is always nice.
No. I enjoy building the relationships with people. I feel like that's the fun part of the job for me, beyond just the care and helping people with rehab and actually making them feel better and do better. But I like the personal connection you make with each person, because you don't see that a lot with other careers. But this one, we get to spend like a month with each patient, and so you really start to build rapport. Like this pen I've been playing with is a gift from a patient that she just
out of focus
was so wanted to give us this.
Don't do that.
So let me show you these cool pen tricks that I've learned.
Good golly. But
you get cool gifts, and that's what we're in it for, is the gifts, right, Ian?
For sure. Even better when they bring food.
Yes, food.
Food, gifts.
Yeah. Dude, you're still not done with our note? What in the world?
I stopped so I can stare at the camera and be awkward.
Sometimes people ask, can they work while going to the program, or will it be too overwhelming? Yeah, you can work. Do it. Work 2 jobs if you want to, or 3.
I worked during the program as well. Not as much, obviously, because you're going. It's a week-long commitment to the program, so it's kind of a little hard to work.
Oh, you don't get to set your schedule, right? Like once you get into the PTA program, they have their set schedule.
They have a set schedule,
so you have to work your work schedule around that. I work part-time as well, but again, not as many hours as I used to. So it's possible me and Ian both work through school, but you really have to cater your schedule around what school offers you, and then you got to make sure you keep your grades up. How do you succeed as a PTA? How do you do it? What is the one thing that everyone wants to know? How do you do it? How do you wake up every day? Put that handsome smile on.
Just having the passion. I think being passionate about this job, willing to get better, trying to get better, trying to make other people better. I say passion is what drives me.
Yeah.
And learning. I love to learn. So you learn every day, even if when you've been here for 6 months and you still F everything up.
I feel like if you don't have that passion, or you don't develop that passion, or you can't harness a joy to come into work, then I feel like it'll show, and it'll show in your treatments. It's not like if I did a different job, for example, wrenching on cars, if I was a mechanic and I came in with a bad attitude that day, it really doesn't affect much because I'm just wrenching on the car and I don't interact with anybody like that. But in this profession, you have to have a passion for it, because your patients can tell if you're just not in it to win it. If you're just doing it to collect a paycheck, your patients can see that, and it's not too pretty. You really have to enjoy what you do, I feel like.
Agreed. I say for the people who aspire to be a PTA, just make sure it's something that you want to do, because it's a huge field. There's so many avenues to go into. Like we mentioned earlier, there's inpatient, there's outpatient, there's neuro clinics, there's pediatrics, there's aquatherapy. There's you can work with so many walks of life. So really find what you love to do and go for it. Put your all into it.
Go for it.
Put your all into it, because it's going to benefit you greatly once you graduate.
If you can graduate. Thank you so much for watching today. Hopefully this somewhat was useful, because I highly don't think we stayed on topic and focused throughout this. Have a nice day. Peace.